Good morning to everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the topic electrochemistry and corrosion. So I'm taking some of the topics from electrochemistry, that is introduction, and types of cells, types of electrodes, and construction working of galvanic cell or voltaic cell, and reference electrodes, that is standard hydrogen electrode, calomel electrode, and equinhydron electrode. Let me just give the definition of electrochemistry. So electrochemistry is the study of relationship between the chemical transformation and electrical energy. So simply we can say that it is interconversion of electrical energy and chemical energy. So electrochemical cell, so it is in conversion of electrical energy to chemical energy can occur in either direction. So here it is a electrochemical cell are of two types, that is electrolytic cell, and the second one is a galvanic cell or voltaic cell. So here it is a two type of cells are there, that is one is electrolytic cell and the second one is galvanic or voltaic cell. So what is electrolytic cell? So it converts electrical energy into chemical energy with non-spontaneous redox reactions. So whereas in galvanic or voltaic cell, it converts chemical energy into electrical energy with spontaneous redox reactions. So we know that redox reactions is nothing but both oxidation and reduction takes place. That reactions are called as a redox reactions. So basically electrochemical cell consists of two electrodes, that is anode and second one is cathode. So at anode there is a oxidation takes place, at cathode there is a reduction takes place. So as we all know, what is a anode is nothing but, so oxidation takes place means loss of electrons, that are called as an oxidation. It gain of electrons are called as reduction. So the electrode at which an oxidation takes place is called as anode, whereas a electrode at which a reduction reaction takes place is called as a cathode. So some of the electrode charges are like here. So if you take an electrolytic cell, at anode it acts as a positive charge. At cathode it becomes as a negative charge. And move on to the galvanic or voltaic cell. At anode, it becomes a negative charge. At cathode, it becomes a positive charge. So what are the redox reactions? So redox reactions are both oxidation and reduction. Means some loss of electrons is called as an oxidation. Here I'm taking some Ag gives rise to dissociated into Ag++ electrons. It means it loss of one electron. So there is a oxidation takes place. And whereas it cathode, it gain of electrons means it can accept electrons. H++ electrons gives rise to half H2. For example, if you take a sodium NaCl, in that sodium it gives rise to dissociated into Na++ electrons, means Na2++ 2 electrons, and chlorine can accept 2 electrons to form a Cl. So NaCl gives rise to Na++ Cl- ions. So let's see the differences between the electrolytic and galvanic or voltaic cells. So here it is a two type of cells are there. One is a galvanic cell and electrolytic cell, as we know that. So galvanic cell is energy, chemical energy released by spontaneous redox reactions. That is, chemical energy is converted to the electrical energy. And move on to the electrolytic cell. The electrical energy is used to drive non-spontaneous redox reactions. So here galvanic cell, anode it becomes as a positive charge, cathode it becomes as a positive charge, anode it becomes a negative charge. And whereas in electrolytic cell it is reverse to the galvanic cell, means anode becomes as a positive charge, cathode it becomes as a negative charge. And an example for the galvanic cell is a dry cells, and example for the electrolytic cell is a charging, that means secondary storage cell, secondary lead acid storage cell. So, and next topic is a electrochemical cell and the construction and working of electrochemical cell. So here, this is also called as a voltaic cell. And the best example for the voltaic cell is a Daniell cell. Means in this Daniell cell, it consists of a two electrodes, that is zinc electrode and copper electrode. So here the zinc electrode can dipped in a two solution. That means ZnSO4 for its own solutions means ZnSO4 solution, and copper electrode can dipped in a copper sulfate solution. So Here, this is one of the half cell and this is another half cell. So here, whereas at zinc, it can lose some electrons, means Zn gives rise to Zn plus 2 electrons, whereas at copper, Cu plus 2 electrons gives rise to Cu. So here it is a oxidation takes place and here it is a reduction takes place. So, and we are using a salt bridge. So the two solutions are separated by a salt bridge. So the two solutions can keep to the salt bridge and so come in contact with each other. So how to represent the Daniell cell? Let's see the representation of Daniell cell. First of all, what is the first point in a galvanic or voltaic cell? So here it is a anode is a this is a one of the half cell and this is a another half cell, means ZnSO4 is a one half cell and CuSO4 is a another half cell. First of all, we have to take a first cell, that is ZnSO4 cell. So anode is written on the left hand side while cathode is written on the right hand side. So for example, we have to take a left hand side of cell, so that is Zn. So we have to write the metal first and then electrolyte, and these two are separated through a semicolon or a vertical line. And move on to the second right hand side electrode, that is copper. So here the metal, write in the first, and first we have to write the electrolyte and then electrode, and same these two are separated through a semicolon or a slash. So extra information regarding molar 1 molar concentration we also mentioned in the square brackets. So here it is a one of the half cell and here it is a second half cell. So these two half cells can separate it through a double vertical line. So that is nothing but a salt bridge. So this is about the representation of a galvanic cell or a voltaic cell. So here the two reactions, at anode there is a oxidation takes place, at cathode there is a reduction takes place. So cell potential. So the cell potential can be calculated as E cell is equal to, we are using the formula E cathode minus E anode, whereas in a standard state, that is a E node cell is nothing but E node cathode minus E node cathode. And let's see the next topic. Reference electrode. Reference electrode. So here two type of reference electrodes are there. One is a primary reference electrode and second one is a secondary reference electrode. So what is a primary reference? What is a primary reference electrode? Primary reference electrode, the best example is the standard hydrogen electrode. So first of all, what is the reference electrode? So the electrode of standard potentials which we can compare the potentials of other electrodes is called as a reference electrode. So the best reference electrode is the primary reference electrode, that is the standard hydrogen electrode. So here it is a standard hydrogen electrode, and the cell notation for the standard hydrogen electrode is platinum slash hydrogen comma 1 atmospheric is slash H plus comma 1 molar concentration. So let's see the construction about the standard hydrogen electrode. First of all, it consists of a small platinized platinum foil which is sealed through the end of the glass tube. So this tube is surrounded the outer glass tube. This glass tube is provided with a side arm for passing any hydrogen gas. Okay. And the bottom of this glass tube flayed into a belt to allow any escape of hydrogen gas. So here the platinum is coated with a platinum black, and so here which absorbs the hydrogen gas and then the hydrogen ions. So the electrode when dipped in one normal HCl and passing 1 atmospheric pressure, it gives a standard or normal hydrogen electrode. So here it is a standard hydrogen electrode. So the standard hydrogen electrode can be coupled with another standard hydrogen electrode to find out the EMF of the solution. So this is the standard hydrogen electrode can be coupled with another standard hydrogen electrode. It gives a electromotive, that means EMF of the cells. So the cell reaction for the standard hydrogen electrode is like H plus plus electrons gives rise to half H2. So this is a equation for the standard hydrogen electrode. And next, this is applied to the Nernst equation. So this is applied to the Nernst equation. We know that the Nernst equation is E is equal to E naught minus 2.30 PRT by NF into log H2 by H plus ions. So finally we get the value is minus 0.0592 into VPH. So this is a half cell reaction. This half cell can be coupled with another reference electrode, that is a hydrogen electrode. So we are using the formula E cell is equal to E right minus E left. Already we know the value of reference electrode, that is the potential is 0, that is reference electrode potential is 0. So obtain the potential value is 0.05 into which, so this value can be write in the formula, that is E cell is equal to E right minus E left. So already we know that the value of E right electrode, that is a 0, and E left value 0.0592 VPH. Finally, we get E cell is equal to 0.0592 VPH. So this is the formula of standard hydrogen electrode. And the next topic is a secondary reference electrode. So here it is a secondary reference electrode. So what is a secondary reference electrode? So first of all, metal insoluble salt electrode. What is metal insoluble salt electrode? So here the metal is in contact with its own solution, which is sparingly soluble or which is insoluble. That is called as a metal insoluble salt electrode. So this type of electrode construction is nothing but a metal insoluble salt electrode. So example under this category is a secondary reference electrode, that is a calomel electrode. So it is here it is a calomel electrode is nothing but a secondary reference electrode. So generally we are going to construct galvanic cell. One should be known electrode and another should be reference electrode. Here the reference electrode is a standard calomel electrode. So what is the construction of a standard calomel electrode? So here it is a standard calomel electrode. So first of all, it consists of a platinized platinum foil which is sealed through the end of the glass tube. So and the remaining portion of this cell is filled with the one normal or a deci-normal Hg2 solution, mercury and mercurous KCl solution. So here we are using standard KCl solutions. So generally KCl solutions are 0. At 0.1 normal, we get 0.335 volts, and 1.0 normal, the electrode potential will get 0.2810, and saturated KCl solution, the electrode potential, obtained electrode potential is 0.2422 volts. But here we are using a standard calomel electrode. That's why we have to take the value of 0.2422 volts. So the electrode cell notation of secondary calomel electrode Hg, Hg2, Cl2, KCl saturated solution. So this half cell can be coupled with any other reference electrode. We know that another reference electrode is a hydrogen electrode. So this calomel electrode can be coupled with the hydrogen electrode. And finally, we get the EM of the cell. From the EM of the cell, we have to find out the pH of the solution. So the value of the calomel electrode is E cell is equal to 0.2422 volts plus 0.0592 VPH. So from the EMF of the cell, we have to find out we are going to find out the pH of the cell. That is the pH is equal to E cell minus 0.2422 volts by 0.0592 into VPH. This is about the calomel electrode. So here this calomel electrode can be used in to find out the potentiometric titrations. So let's see the potentiometric titrations constructions. It consists of a pair of electrons. Generally, we know the calomel electrode and hydrogen electrode, and one can be acts as the indicator electrode, and second one is a reference electrode. Here the second reference electrode is the standard hydrogen electrode, and both the electrons are dipped in the experimental solution. A stirrer is added to stir the solution after each addition of a titrant. So we have to add the volume of the solution that is taken in a that is taken in a pipette. So burette, and each 1 ml of the solution is added to the solution. So we have to find out the EMF of the cell. So this is about the procedure for the potentiometric titrations. And we are getting the three type of graph. That is the equivalence point of the titration can be obtained by plotting any one of the graphs, that is the energy EMF versus volume, and delta E by delta V versus volume of titrant, and volume of titrant in delta square E by delta V. So this is about the potentiometric titrations. And after that, quin hydron electrode. So the quin hydron electrode, the formula, the quin hydron electrode can be obtained from the quinone. It is on reduction. That means quinone can be reduction to form a hydroquinone. So expression for the reaction is Q equal to AH2Q by AQ into A square H plus. Here H2Q is nothing but a hydroquinone, and AQ is nothing but a quinone. So the construction, how to construct the quinone. So the electrode is set up by adding a small quantity of commercial hydroquinone to a pinch of hydroquinone powder to the experimental solution. This solution is stirred, and then electrode of platinum is introduced for electrical contact. So the platinum strip used should be clean. So the electrode can be coupled with saturated calomel electrode to form a cell. Here again we are also using the reference electrode is a calomel electrode. So totally we get the EMF of the solution. So the cell notation for the quinhydron is Hg, HgCl2 double slash is nothing but salt bridge H plus H2Q, P2. So here it is a acidic medium. So here acidic E cell is equal to E cathode minus E anode. That is the value of quinhydron is finally E cell is equal to E Q naught quinone minus 0.0590 into VPH minus E calomel. This is about the acidic medium. And basic in all clean medium, that is the basic medium, E cell value is 0.457 plus 0.0590 into VPH. Finally we get the pH value from the E cell, that is pH is equal to E cell plus 0.0457 by 0.0592 V. So this is about the quinhydron electrode. So what are the merits and demerits of the electrode? Let's see the merits. Electrode is easily set up, and it is also easily handled. It can be functioning satisfactorily also in highly acidic solution, and it is used to measure the pH of aqueous and both aqueous and non-aqueous solution. We have to use for both aqueous solution and also non-aqueous solutions. And what are the demerits? So this electrode is functioning only in the pH range of 1 to 8, means greater than 8, the activity ratio no longer remain equal to 1. So it cannot be functioning in presence of oxidizing and also reducing, that can react rapidly with either hydroquinone or a quinone. So the next part of is corrosion. So by the definition of corrosion is the process of destruction and consequent loss of their solid metallic material through an unwanted chemical or electrochemical attack by its environment, that are called as a corrosion. So simply we can say that the surface of almost all metal begin to decay more or less rapidly when exposed to the gas or atmosphere. So the process of decay of metal by environmental attack is called as a corrosion. So example, rusting of iron and tarnishing of silver, and the formation of green layer on the surface of the silver. So how How many types of corrosion? Generally, there are different types of corrosion based on the reactions. So one is a galvanic corrosion, and the second one is a pitting corrosion, and stress corrosion, crevice corrosion, and erosion corrosion, and soil corrosion, microbiological corrosion, waterline corrosion, and differential aeration corrosion, intragranular corrosion. So what about a galvanic corrosion? So this type of electrochemical corrosion is also called as a bimetallic corrosion. So galvanic corrosion is also called as a bimetallic corrosion. So when two dissimilar metals are in contact and exposed to an electrolyte, they will form a galvanic cell. Here the anodic metal will be oxidized and it will undergo corrosion. So according to electrochemical series, the above the hydrogen above the electrochemical series, more reduction potential. So it undergoes corrosion easily. So almost all are acts as the anodes. So it undergoes corrosion easily. So example, Zn and iron, copper metals are connected with each other in an electrolytic medium, form a galvanic cell. So iron acts as anode and undergoes corrosion easily. So we know that at anode there is a oxidation takes place, so it undergoes corrosion easily. So at a cathode does not undergoes corrosion easily. So and pitting corrosion. Due to crack on the surface of metal, there is a formation of local galvanic cell. So the crack portion acts as here, the crack portion acts as anode, and the rest of the metal is acts as cathode. So the same basic formula, at anode there is a oxidation takes place, so it undergoes corrosion easily, and cathode does not affect corrosion. And what about the stress corrosion? So in a metallic structure, if there is a portion under stress, it will act as anode and rest of the part structure will act as a cathode. So for example, if you take a stress corrosion nail, the head and tail parts, it acts as the anode and the bottom of the part is acts as cathode. So the corrosion undergoes the head and tail parts, it undergoes corrosion. And if you take a bent pipe, here the head and tail parts is undergoes corrosion. The bending part is acts as anode. It undergoes corrosion easily. The bottom and the top of the tube, it does not undergoes corrosion. That is the example for the stress corrosion. And crevice corrosion, erosion corrosion, and soil corrosion. So soil corrosion under underground pipes, cables, etc. corrode due to soil corrosion. So it is due to moisture or pH of soil and microorganisms. So, and a waterline corrosion. So, it has been observed in the case of an iron tank. If you say iron tank containing a water, that the portion of the iron tank just below the water level, it undergoes corrosion. So, some of the reactions is like here. That means iron is treated with the basic medium, that is a OH minus ions to form FeOH twice or FeOH thrice. So, how to protect the corrosion? So let's discuss. We have two type of theories. That is, one is a dry or chemical theory of corrosion. So first one is a dry or chemical theory of corrosion. So according to this theory, corrosion on the surface of a metal is due to direct reaction of atmospheric gases. As we know that gases are like oxygen, halogen, and oxides of sulfurs and oxides of nitrogen or hydrogen sulfide, some of the fumes of chemicals with metal. So the extent of corrosion of a particular metal depends upon the chemical affinity of the metal towards reactive gas. So here the dry or chemical corrosion is followed by mainly three reactions, that are the reaction with oxygen and the reaction with gases like Cl2, CO2, H2S1, etc. and liquid metal corrosion. So in several industries, molten metal process through metallic pipes and causes corrosion due to dissolution or due to internal penetration. So reaction with oxygen. So what is the reaction with oxidation corrosion means? Here the mechanism are two types. That means mechanism is nothing but here the oxidation occurs first of all at the surface of the metal. So resulting we have a metal oxide layer. So which restricts the further continue the oxidation. So for oxidation to continue, we have two possibilities, that are either the metal must diffuse outwards through the layer to the metal, or the metal must inverts through the surface of the underlying metal. So here the yeah, two type of reactions are there. So the both the transfers are occur. So but the outward diffusion of metal is generally much more rapid than inward diffusion of oxygen, because the metal is very small than compared to the oxygen. So that is nothing about the reaction mechanism in the oxidation. And corrosion by other gases, we know that chlorine and sulfur dioxide, H2S, these are the gases are involved in the atmosphere. So it is a one of the example for the dry or chemical corrosion. So this is about the mechanism. Either the metal must inwards, or the oxygen must invert outwards through the underlying metal. So these are the two possibilities for the oxidation corrosion. And wet or electrochemical theory. So according to this theory, there is the formation of a galvanic cell on the surface of metals. So some parts of the metal surface acts as anode, and rest metal is acts as cathode, as we know that. So the chemical in the environment and humidity is acts as electrolyte. So oxidation at anodic part takes place and results in corrosion at anode, while reduction takes place at cathode. So the reduction process take part at cathode in two ways. Case one, evolution of hydrogen, either evolution of hydrogen or absorption of oxygen. So if it is evolution of hydrogen, that means the hydrogen ion H plus are formed due to the acidic environment. And the following reactions are in the absence of oxygen. And case 2, absorption of oxygen. Here the type of corrosion takes place in the neutral or basic medium in presence of oxygen. Either evolution of hydrogen is the absence of oxygen, but absorption of oxygen in presence of oxygen means Fe plus O2 plus H2O gives rise to Fe plus 2 plus 2OH minus ions. So factors affecting on the corrosion. So these are the factors influencing on the rate of corrosion. Let's see one by one. First of all, one is the nature of the metal, and the second one is the nature of the environment. So effect of metal, first of all, nature of the metal is position in galvanic series. That means according to the electrochemical series, above the hydrogen is undergoes corrosion easily, because all the metals are acts as anode, and the below the hydrogen chemicals are acts as cathode, so it does not undergoes corrosion. That is the position of metal in galvanic series. So it decides the corrosion rate. So and hydrogen over voltage. So in case of zinc metal placed in a normal of H2SO4, reaction takes place forming bubbles of hydrogen gas on zinc surface. So, and purity of the metal. If you take the pure metal, it does not undergoes corrosion. For example, if you take the gold, it does not undergo corrosion. That means is very slow as compared to the either copper or zinc, iron, or zinc, anyone. So nature of the oxide film. In aerated atmosphere, practically all metals produce thin metal surface of metal oxide. The ratio of the volumes of metal oxide formed due to the metal is called specific volume ratio. So next, vol- volatility and solubility of corrosion product. In both the cases, the corrosion will be faster. Essential for that means tannous chloride is volatile, so faster is corrosion of tin in chloride. So atmosphere in case of soluble corrosion product will be enhanced by water, and metal surface will be exposed for further corrosion. And the nature of environment. These are the factors influencing the metal. That is the one is the environmental, and the temperature, humidity, and pH value, and amount of oxygen in atmosphere. So pH value, if you take a pH value, means concentration of H plus ion, that is acidic nature in basic medium. If that is a pH is less than 7, if it is acids, that is the pH is greater, that are called as the acids, greater than 7 is called as the bases. When pH is lower, the corrosion is increased. So the pH value of medium has greater effect on the corrosion. So amount of oxygen in atmosphere. So as the percentage of oxygen in atmosphere increases, the rate of corrosion also increases due to the formation of oxygen concentration cell. And cathodic protection. We have a, what are cathodic protection? First of all, the definition of cathodic protection. So the method of protection gives to a metal by forcibly making it to behave like a cathode, like is called as a cathodic protection. So here it is a two type of cathodic protections are there. That is, one is a sacrificial anodic protection and the second one is a impressed current cathodic protection. Let's see the first method, that are the sacrificial anodic protection. So here it is a sacrificial anodic protection. So in this method of protection, the metallic structure to be protected called base metal is connected to more active anodic metal through a wire. So the anodic metal undergoes corrosion slowly. So the corroded sacrificial anode block is replaced by fresh one. So the commonly used anodic metals are magnesium, zinc, and aluminum under alloys. So the important applications of sacrificial anode protection or to protect marine structure and ship hulls, protection of buried pipelines. For example, we have to take a marine structure. So here it is the back portion of the ship. So here it is the back portion of the ship, and normally here we are using propellers. Now propellers are placed back of the ship. So propellers are need to be stronger due to the series manganese propellers will have higher standard potential. Here hull of a ship, first of all, hull of a ship is nothing but a for example, here bottom of the ship, here the hull of the ship is nothing but a bottom of the ship. So rusted the stern, that is a mild steel which is closer to manganese bronze propellers, and seawater is can act as a electrolyte. So and according galvanic series manganese propellers, we have a higher standard potential compared to the mild steel. So here the mild steel undergoes corrosion. So we need to protect this metal. That means the mild steel. So we need to protect off the ship. That means which is made up of by mild steel. So here we are using zinc sheet and mild steel. So this mild steel we can be protected the mild steel. So the protected anode is nothing but here the zinc. So here the zinc can acts as an anode that can be protect the hull of a ship is nothing but mild steel. So at anode there is a oxidation takes place. Here the zinc completely destroyed and can be protect the mild steel. So this is about the example for the sacrificial anode. And next, impressed current cathodic protection. So in this method, an impressed current, we have to apply an external current more than the corrosion current is applied in the opposite direction to nullify the corrosion current. So that is nothing but a impressed. So we have to apply the current, external current opposite to the corrosion current. So that is nothing but a impressed current cathodic protection. So when we apply external power, the anode can be converted into the cathode. So we know that the cathode does not undergo corrosion. So it can be protect the base metal. So the anode can be converted into cathodes that not undergo corrosion. So obviously the cathode can be protect the base metal. So this is about the impressed voltage current cathodic protection. And next, surface coatings. So we have a two type of methods of application of metal coating. So here there are mainly two types. The following methods are methods of application of metal coating. So we have a hot dipping method. In that hot dipping, we have two main types, that are the galvanization and tinning process. So what about the galvanization? So it is a process of coating iron or steel sheets within a tin coat. So zinc to prevent iron from rusting. So the base metal iron or steel is cleaned by acid pickling method with dilute H2SO4. This is the first diagram, and the steel sheet is acid pickling with dilute H2SO4 solution at 15 to 20 degrees at minutes and at 60 to 90 degrees Celsius. So the sheet is then washed well and dried, and it is dipped in a kept covered with the ammonium flux layer to prevent any oxidation formation. So the sheet is taken out and if any excess of zinc is there, completely removed by the passing of hot rollers. So an alloy of iron and zinc were formed at the junction of the base metal and coating metal. So what are the applications of galvanization? So it is mostly used to protect iron, used for roof sheets, wires, pipes, nails, bolts, buckets, and tubes, etc. So and the second process is tinning process. So what about the tinning process? So tinning process is nothing but coating of tin over iron or steel. Steel articles is called as a tinning. So in this process, the surface of the metal, that is the iron metal, iron sheet, is cleaned by acid pickling as like galvanization process with dilute H2SO4 and passed through the bath of zinc chloride flux. So this zinc chloride flux to prevent any oxide formation, so to prevent that oxidation. So then the sheet is passed to the molten tin bath and pressed between two rollers from a layer of palm oil. So this palm oil helps to protect the tin coated surface against oxidation. So further can be oxidation, this flux can be protected. So the rollers remove excess of tin and produce a thin film of uniform concentration. So an alloy of base metal coating the junctions. What are the applications of tinning? So the metal passes good resistance against atmospheric corrosion. Tin is non-toxic and widely used for coating steel, copper, and brass sheets. And tin copper sheets are used for making cooking utensils and refrigeration equipment. So this is about the galvanization and tinning process. Thank you.